What's up, everybody? I'm Sly The Movie Guy, and here's my movie review of The Shining, a 1980 film, and I'm reviewing this film leading up to Dr. Sleep. The film is already out. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm very excited. I'm hearing positive reviews about that film, and this is a sequel to this film, The Shining, so this review will contain spoilers. So if you haven't seen The Shining yet, I recommend you checking the film out, and then come back in this review and stuff, so you can hear my thoughts and opinions. And if you don't really care about being spoiled by this movie, then you can stay here. But for the people who don't want to be spoiled by this movie, check the film out and come back here, because this will contain spoilers, so you have been warned. With all that being said, let me get started. This film is directed by Stanley Kubrick, the director of Dr. Strangelove and Full Metal Jacket, Space Odyssey, Eyes Wide Shut, and other films. And this film stars Jack Nicholson, Shelley, Duvall, Lloyd, and Scatman Crothers. Excuse me if I said the name wrong. And the rest of the other cast and crew. And this film came out, like I said, came out in 1980, around in the early 80s. And I wasn't born in the 80s, so I wasn't born in that era to watch this film. I'm a 90s baby. But I remember the time when me and my family, my mom and dad, we were just out having a great time on the weekend. And then I remember, like, on a Saturday, we went to Best Buy and stuff. And it was like close to getting dark at midnight. So we kind of like out at night, like at Best Buy, just looking at movies, which ones to watch and stuff, which movie to buy, and have a fun time with each other as family and stuff. And we were just looking, and I was just, when I saw that movie right there and I saw Jack Nicholson, I was like, hey, that's the actor that played the Joker, because I didn't know the actors' names back then and I was like in elementary, so I didn't really get into like actors' names and stuff and directors. When I saw the Jack Nicholson face, I was like, hey, that's the guy that played Joker. And then when my dad came around and stuff, and I asked my dad, because I usually ask my dad certain movies that I haven't seen before, and he's seen them because he's older than me. So, and when I asked him, he said, that's The Shining. And I asked him, I said, what is that? He couldn't tell me, because he said it's a scary horror film. He said it's a scary movie. You can't see that. And I was young, so that back then I couldn't even watch scary movies. And my mom said, you can't watch this movie. Get them away from there. Because any scary movies that be like in Walmart, Target, or Best Buy and stuff like that, and back then Blockbusters, I couldn't just see any of these scary movies, especially the image of pictures. My mom didn't want me to see none of it. Just look at the kids' movies and all that, or some like the superhero movies. So they took me away from there, took me away from that movie. So I was very curious. So many years I've been very curious about it. Till I got older, and in middle school and high school, I was able to watch horror movies and stuff. And then when I watched The Shining, and Shining was like the horror movie I wanted to see. So when I got to high school and went and brought the DVD and saw The Shining, it blew me away. I was like, wow. It was one of those horror films that I was like so surprised. I was like surprised how good it was. And I was just like, what? It gave me the goosebumps, the chills, and I'll elaborate that in this review. But man, it became like one of my favorite horror films of all time. And it was just, everything about it is great. And then as the years I get older and watch the film like more and more, it's still great, still to this day. And I watches it like literally like every Halloween. Like I watch a couple of horror films, and I still love some horror films like Evil Dead, and The Exorcist, the Halloween, and Conjuring, other films. But when Halloween comes, this is the movie I literally watch like every Halloween, and it's still, man, the acting, directing, everything is good about it, and that's what I love about it. And it's a psychological horror film, and I haven't seen like a psychological horror film like this before, and it's so original, and it's fantastic. There's everything about it. And one of the things that really surprised me as when I got older and looked up this movie, it had mixed reviews back in the in the 80s. It was like mixed reviews for critics. Stephen King didn't like it. This is a adaptation novel of the Stephen King's The Shining, and it's kind of weird and stuff because a lot of fans and me love this film. It doesn't make sense, and that's really crazy. And this movie was nominated for Razzie Awards. I mean, like the worst directing, worst actress. I kind of disagree, and I put down the interesting facts about that in the link down below. You can check it out in the description box. But I'll get to the actress part, but worst directing? This is a well-directed film. That's really a surprise. How is this worst directing? I mean, Stanley Kubrick, to me, did a freaking phenomenal job with this movie, and I'll elaborate that, too, in this review. But, man, this movie just had, like, mixed reviews and all, and I can't understand why, because this film is one of those horror films that absolutely checks the marks on jump scare, getting chills, edge on your seat, everything. And so I don't know what they're talking about. This is absolutely freaking amazing. And I rewatched this film, and it's still, I can't find like a single flaw in this movie. And that's one of the things I really am surprised about. One thing is good about it is the story. And the story basically is about a family heads to an isolated hotel for the winter where a sinister presence influenced the father into violence, while his psychic son sees horrific forebodings from both past and future. I meant foreboding, excuse me, but that's what the story about. But look, the thing about the story is, what I love about it is how the beginning of the movie, where you kind of get this music theme in the beginning. And I love that. That was really good to get your audience member like ready for the movie. Because when I watch this movie, that music theme gets me every time. It makes me like say, wow, it's like a whole brand new experience, like a whole brand new horror films. And horror films don't do that now. There's some horror films that when you watch it, and some are good, but there's some that don't like get you like in the get your emotions like up, like get your blood pumping and stuff, like whoa, the music. And the music in this movie is really good, and the camera work is like absolutely phenomenal. The greatest camera work, like seeing like them traveling, because like you're like, what is up? What's going to happen in this? And then after that, we kind of get to where we get to see our main character, Jack Torrance, played by Jack Nicholson. And we see this character is about to be a caretaker of this hotel and stuff. He goes into the office, and a guy tells him everything about it. And this is where you get a little taste on, like, a little information about this hotel and this little character to build up. Because we know that Jack Torrance is a former teacher. He's a writer, and he's trying to be a caretaker in wintertime. And this scene where he says, I like to have the peace in wintertime, because they say it's so snowy, because pretty much nobody doesn't come in the wintertime because it's all snowing. It's kind of hard to drive around there. And Jack Nicholson's character was like, I'm a writer, so I can have all the peace like in the next 5 months and stuff. If I'm not wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he said that in the film on that part. But it was so good. And then when the guy is giving him all this information, he said, are you sure you want to be a caretaker in the wintertime? And you heard about this incident that happened in this hotel? And Jack Nicholson said, no, I haven't heard about it. And the guy tells him that a man had a wife and 2 daughters. And he said this guy was very nice, had a clean record, but something that drove into his mind made him kill his whole family with an axe. When I heard that, I got the chills. And it was very interesting because when you hear this, you're like, could Jack Nicholson character, it makes you think like, could Jack Nicholson character drive and end up doing this? What drove this man into killing his family? The family that was there and taking care of the hotel in the wintertime. Because I finally pushed in my mind like, what's going to happen? When the first time I watched it, and I haven't seen any trailers of this movie when I watched this in high school, I was like, a man killed his family in a hotel? What is this? What's what's going to happen? So that actually put like fear in me. That was like fear. There was nothing bloody or gory in that scene. It just put fear, like what could happen and stuff like that. And that was really good build up. So we kind of know like Jack Torrance's character a little bit. And as the film goes on, we end up knowing more about his character or what he does and stuff like that. And then we get to like the scenes where we see the Danny and Wendy, played by Shelley and Shelley Duvall and Danny Lloyd, which is coincidence. Danny Torrance and Danny Lloyd, the actor's name is like that thing. That's kind of coincidence, but whatever. That's our point. But I like how where he said you can't wait to go to this hotel because Danny asked his mom, does she can't wait to go to this hotel, and she said yes, it's going to be fun. But Danny has this psychic thing where he can see things and stuff and see what's going to happen and stuff, see the horrifying things that's going to happen in this hotel. And that was really good. And I love that build up. When you watch a horror film, you want to see character build up. And I like this character build up between those two. And I love it because her character, she's worried about Danny because Danny talks with his hand like this, with his finger, his imaginary friend, says the psychic ability. It's like it talks to him and stuff like his imaginary friend. And she brings the nurse over that asks her what's wrong with Danny and stuff. And the nurse checks Danny, and the nurse said, there's nothing wrong with Danny at all. I don't think you should have nothing to worry about. And she goes on to this thing and stuff. And Shelley still is like, Wendy is still worried about this. She's like, don't know what her child and stuff like this. And I can understand as a parent, because when you have a child like at that age, you're kind of like wondering what's wrong with them, like and stuff like that. And I see parents to this day like worry about their children and what's wrong with them and stuff. So all that really works well. All that character build up really works and stuff like that. And I'll talk more about the story. Let me talk about directing and acting. Stanley Kubrick, I don't know what the Razzies talking about because worst director, this is one I don't get. Each scene when I've seen like out of this movie is well directed. And you can tell Stanley Kubrick really direct it, like really put the effort in making this horror film. Cause you can see each, like, especially when it comes to the scary moments. Like I said, this movie didn't have that. It has some stuff in it that's like kind of gruesome and some particular parts and stuff in the film. But when it comes to like the scary parts of it, you can tell that Stanley Kubrick with the camera work and all that, and how the zooming camera and stuff and all that, and that goes with the camera work. You can really tell that Stanley Kubrick wanting a certain like viewing point of this film, like for us as the audience. You can tell like the certain things where he's zooming our characters, like the face and stuff, like when they doing this and stuff like that. You're kind of wondering like when they zoom on the camera, the character's face, you're kind of wondering like what's going to happen. You like jump like, and then when they show like different scenes and stuff like that, then you're like, oh, and the music build up. So his direction on that was really good. And I've seen his other films too when he done that, like Full Metal Jacket, like zooming on characters. Stanley Kubrick understands like what he's going for and the vision he's going in the movie and stuff. And I thought his vision in The Shining really worked well. And I think that and this is one of his best directed films of all time, The Shining. I said his other films are great, no doubt, but The Shining is just like perfection, well done. And I really appreciate the directing, and I'll elaborate more with the scenes and how he does his directing on that scene. Let me talk about the acting. Jack Nicholson is fantastic in this film. And this is absolutely one of Jack Nicholson's best form. I say it with the best, but I always remember Jack Nicholson as the Joker because he played 89 Batman, which is my favorite film of all time. But here is Jack Torrance is fantastic. And I can't really picture anybody playing in this role. I mean, playing this character. It's really kind of hard for me to picture anybody because when this sinister presence in his hotel, when you see his character involved, his performance really shows, and it really kind of feels realistic because some people can go insane like that, and this is where Jack Nicholson really shines, especially like towards around the second and third act. You could really see that insanity really builds in with this character, and when this sinister presence really get into this character, Torrance, it really like is good. I mean, Jack Nicholson's character's just like gets vicinity. When you see like when Wendy's characters like talk to him like husband and wife and stuff, he's typing. You can see where he says, "Wendy, I'm trying to concentrate." And you see that scene when he's getting like anger and stuff. You're kind of like, whoa. And then a couple of scenes where we see Wendy and the son playing, we see Jack's character like changing stuff. And I thought Jack Nicholson's expressions really gave it up. He gave me chills, and I don't know if I see Jack Nicholson, and I'm pretty sure he's a very nice actor guy. I've seen like interviews, he's very nice. And if I like meet Jack Nicholson, I kind of would think of like the shot. I'm like, whoa. So it was really good. And then the bar scenes were really great with Joe Turkel, the actor guy. Correct me if I said that actor's name wrong, but him in that bar scene with Lloyd, the bartender, great scene. I love them. Those are fantastic scenes, and I thought that was like well directed on Stanley Kubrick's part. But the acting is really great here on there. Let me talk Danny Lloyd as Danny Torrance. Great childhood actor. He did a fantastic job. His performance, wow, is freaking awesome. Child actors, I always, when it comes to movies when child actors play, I kind of am iffy on that because children, it's kind of hard for children to act, but man, he did great. This is one of the best child performance I've seen on screen. I mean, there's some that's good in the early 2000s and now of the movies I've seen, but man, his performance is absolutely fantastic. I can't really think of like a child actor that could play in this role. I mean, we've seen Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin and other films of child actors, but this one really holds up, man. This is great, fantastic. That's all I got to say. Now I'll get to Shelley Duvall as Wendy. Now, this is the one that I heard from the interesting facts. Stanley Kubrick and her kind of didn't get along in the film because Stanley Kubrick was like pushing her and stuff to give her that push out her performance. And I say, and that was really kind of, I can try to see that because we see now with directors and actors can't get along. But here, I think her performance is really, really good. I don't know where the Razzie where they said worst actress, her performance was and when she showed that terrifying crying face and stuff, I feel that. I can feel like a female getting terrified with this thing because this is unusual. She never seen her husband go this insane like this. And that really was good. I thought acting really paid off. It felt real. It didn't feel fake at all. I can see anybody being terrified like this. So that I can really see that. And there's some females and some male actors that don't really give up a good terrifying performance in horror movies. There's some that really kind of come off like cheesy and stuff. This did not come off cheesy. And Jack Nicholson, it's evil insanity performance and her terrifying really blending together, especially on screen. I want to mention that it's real, man. I'll elaborate on it, but man, her acting was absolutely fantastic, and I'll really give credit on that. Let me talk about more about the acting. Scatman's Crothers. I remember him from like Sanford and Son, and he's like, I heard he was like a jazz musician from when I looked up. He does great in this film, and what I like about his character, and man, they did good with his character. Very good on screen. Was not like a waste on screen. He has the same psychic ability as Danny and stuff. And the storyline with that is when he's showing the tour around the house in the film, he's giving he's showing everybody around and all this stuff and all that stuff about the hotel and stuff. And when he was telling Wendy and stuff like that, Danny read his mind stuff and see what he's talking about and stuff. And then when he heard heard his mindset on the chocolate ice cream, and I like how the camera angle show where Scatman Crothers' character looks at Danny, and then after that he gives him the ice cream and stuff. Say, you want to get some ice cream? And while the family members taking a tour, he talks to Danny face to face and tells him about the Shining thing. He said the psychic ability thing because he has the exact same thing as him. When I noticed that, when I first saw that, and it was in the first 20 minutes of the movie, I was like, wow. It shocked me. It really shocked me. And it's still this day, I'm just like, I'm like, what? He has this too? So all that build, that was great. And I really loved it too, because I was like, I really loved the screen time of that. I could have got more out of that, but it was really good. He told Dan, he said, these people that have it, you're shining and stuff. You're shine. He said, you're not the only one with these things. And then he asked him about the room 237, which I've noticed on the thing in a Stephen King novel, it was 217, not 237. So, and I never read the book, but I heard like the trivia answers of that it was 217 and 237, but that's besides the point. The books and movies are different, but when he told him don't go in that room 237, something in that room he does not want him to go in. Danny wants to know about it and stuff, and all that really works. And then we see Danny's vision and stuff like that, where he sees the two girls in the hallway as he's riding his bike and all this stuff, and which is coincidence because the guy that was telling Jack Torrance that the man had two daughters and a wife and say he killed them. That was kind of clever on the direction of the writing and directing, Stanley Kubrick and the writers. Just when you hear the information about the man killing his wife stuff and all that, you see this part and you're like, oh. Then you see the two girls right there, and that's like, yep, I seen it. That was kind of clever. I love that part. And we see Danny have these visions and stuff with red rum, which is spelt murder and stuff, which I'll get to that part. And when we see that part, and then we see the blood coming out from the elevators around that hall area and stuff, that's Danny's vision, and that still gives me chills and stuff. And I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Everything worked really well in that film, and I thought that was fantastic. One of the things I think really works well in this film that builds up the suspense and the scares and stuff, the horror aspects about this film, is the title cards in the movie. It really works well. Where the first beginning of the movie, we see the title card say interview, then the other one say like, and the Thursday, and then say 4 p.m. and stuff like that. All that really works well in this movie, and it really kind of sets the tone of this movie, and it really flows with the storyline. It really gives you like what's going to give you the order of what's going to happen here and there, and I really love that when it kept popping up in each scene like that, and it all of a sudden like just comes up, and it still surprised me still this day when that comes up, because it's like I said, it's like a brand new experience of a horror movie. It's still like, and I watch The Shining like 30 or 40 times, but every time like just seeing that thing when it pops up, it just feels new, because this film like just, it's so unique, and I love how they just do that every time in this movie. Talk about the cinematography style in this movie, man, the best cinematography I've seen in this movie. The style of this movie, everything about looks great. The camera lighting, everything, the colors, everything in this movie, it just is perfect. It blends in perfectly. Like I said, I ain't find like any single like a flaw out of this movie when I see everything from directing and all this and the cinematography and the style. Like I said, it really works well, and the tone is absolutely perfect. Cause there's nothing funny about this. This is where a man trying to be a caretaker in the wintertime and stuff, and this sinister presence kind of just destroys this family, and it's kind of sad, and it's scary just seeing this kind of just turn this man in insanity, and it really is like, man, you're kind of scared, but then you're sad at the same time, like, why this had to happen? So all them things really works well in this film, and I'm really love this film. This is incredible. Like I said, the cinematography, the style, it's absolutely looks great here. More on the camera work. The camera work is absolutely phenomenal. It makes you fall. It almost makes you like you're in the hotel. Like, as the characters, what they're looking at, it makes you like you're there. Stanley Kubrick does a fantastic job just transforming you, like, if you're in this hotel, because now, like, if anybody, like, tell you to take care of a hotel, be a caretaker during the wintertime, I might be a little bit scared to do that. Cause I'm like, oh, just seeing The Shining, I'm like, oh, because this is like a haunted hotel, so I'll be scared. And then now seeing like Jack Torrance's character, he go to that room 237, whatever, whereas like he think it's a young lady and he start like kissing and stuff. Then he sees the image mirror and it's just a really disgusting old lady, and it still gives me the creeps still to this day. And I'm like, huh. And she comes out the bathtub, and I just, as a young lady, she comes out the bathtub, and then Jack Torrance's character just thinks she's a young, beautiful lady, and then when he sees that mirror and stuff, and that was just like, and that just like gave me a just, because I was like, huh, that gave me like chills, and I couldn't believe that. And that's when we see more of Jack's character just go insane, just pushing stuff and all that down, and we see that, and that leads on where like it's like it's to a breaking point. We see Jack's character just going insane. It just around the second, close to the third act, that's when we see it, and that's when Wendy like asking him questions stuff, because in the middle of the film he's making a sound on the table like and something like that. And she said, what happened? He had a dream that he like killed, harmed her and his son. And then that's when Danny comes and stuff. And she asks Danny that what's wrong, something like that. What happened to your neck? And she asks him because Jack earlier on in the movie was talking to Danny, tell Danny to come, because Danny was trying to find his father, and the father and Danny was talking. And that's when when the scene where he dreaming stuff that he harmed Wendy and Danny, that's when Danny comes and she looks at his neck. She said, what happened? And she said, how could you? Because she assumed that Jack Torrance's character might have just done something to Danny's neck, because Danny has like bruises. That's when she see that, and that's when you could tell that Jack's character is just gone insane. And then we on to the third act. This is one of the best third acts in cinematic history. In my opinion, for horror films, I love this. This is where you're in a roller coaster ride, because when Wendy gets to the table to see the typewriter and see what Jack's been typing in, she sees all that, and she's like horrified. She's just so horrified at seeing stuff, what Jack's been typing up. And Jack comes, and he goes to her, and he says all this stuff. You see that insanity in his face right there. And great, this is where Jack Nicholson really shines in this movie. This is where I love it. This is where he stalks her upstairs, and it's really scary because you don't know what Jack Torrance's character is going to do. He goes to Wendy, and he says, Wendy, darling, light of my life, I'm not going to hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just going to bash your brains in. I'm just going to bash them right the fuck in. And that scene, it's just, the line delivery, it's just so on point when Jack Nicholson say it. It just, I'm not going to hurt you. It was so well directed and well acted that we see Wendy, her terrifying face, and Jack Nicholson performed right there. It's just so great. It's a memorable scene. It's just so good. I can't get over it. I have gone back and rewind that scene over and over again because it's so good, because it's to that point you see that this man is just, now he's violent. This is scary now. This is where the pivotal moment of the film right here, and where he said, do you have to turn to give me an out of respect? When you see that, when she goes to this typewriter, all that build up and the camera work, all that is just so great. Man, I just don't see films like this no more, and it's just so crazy. Now, it's so good. I don't know how they pull this off. It's just so phenomenal. If you read that on a piece of paper and stuff on script, you just like, how can this work? And it worked perfectly, and I really, really enjoy that part in that film. And that's when he said, Hand me the bat, hand me the bat. And she hits him. And that's when she puts him into that, the cabinet in the kitchen where the food and stuff, just locks him up and stuff. And then when it gets to that part of the film with the ending, the title card, 4 p.m., that right there, that's when I'm like, don't know what's going to happen. It's like, what's more? And I was like, and I'm already like, really, and me as an audience, I'm just like, it gets you ready for more. It's like 4 p.m. after that title card, it gets to here where I'm like, oh, this got to be good. What's going to happen? It leaves you interesting. And Stanley Kubrick does a fantastic job with that. Leave you like thinking, what's going to happen next? Each scene where that happened, that whenever after a scene, it leads you on like, what's going to happen next? And I really love that. It elevates you. It like I said, it's the roller coaster. The third act is like a roller coaster ride. You're like on the edge of your seat. You're ready to see more what's going to happen. And that's when we see like where Scatman Crothers' character just is worried and drives to this hotel and stuff, and him drives to this hotel, and then Wendy's character's crying and stuff, don't know what's going on because she don't know what's going on with her husband, and then her son that she's been worrying about with the psychic ability and stuff, because her son is kind of like is still looking at stuff, rides that bike and stuff, but then when he writes, he keeps saying red rum, red rum, red rum, writing that on there. And you don't know why he's doing that. You don't know why. The music, the intensity level, it's all building up. You see that he said, red rum, red rum. And she said, Danny, what's going on? And that's when Jack Nicholson character is just ramming with that accent. I'm like, oh, and I do that every time. I'm like, sitting in my seat like this. Because all that music and that build up, it's so well directed, everything. I've said it about 3 or 4 times, but man, it's just so good how they elevated that scene with that red rum and all that. It's so good. And Jack Nicholson just hammering the door, and she's terrified. She's trying to protect her son and everything. She puts him in the window. She locks herself in the bathroom because Jack is using that axe and getting through. And it is so well. This last scene is just edge on his seat. Nail biting, knuckles, everything. It just... leave your hands balled up. Here's a time like this, and I know what happens in the movie, but every time it feels so fresh and new. I'm just like, oh, what's gonna happen? And that's when she likes in the bathroom, just terrified, locked door, and that's when Jack Nicholson, man, his line delivery is so good here. Jack Nicholson, he's one of my favorite actors, and this is where I just can't see anybody pull on this performance. And it's kind of can be fun because he used stuff that you like, the fairy tale thing where the 3 little pigs, he said, Wendy, not by the hair, he said, not by the hair of my shinny chin chin, and I'll huff, and I'll puff. And when he say that, the 3 little pigs thing, and I'll huff, and stuff, it sounds funny, but it's scary. It would sound funny in the story, but here it is scary. It's scary. That little thing, that little reference of the 3 little pigs, he uses that, and knocking down the door like this, and she's terrified with that face, like, with that knife she has in her hand and stuff. And he ramaged that door, just ramaged. And that's when one things I looked up where, and I'll explain, but that's when the scene, and I'll always love this line. And if you ever watched the Johnny Carson show or heard it or seen it on YouTube, this is where Jack Nicholson delivered a line, say, here's Johnny. Oh, really was what Bella, if ever like memorable lines, this is a memorable line in cinematic. Here's Johnny. And this line, from what I looked up in the interesting facts, they said Jack Nicholson actually improvised that line in that scene. He improvised it. Guess when they were filming, he used that line, and the directors and the writers ended up loving it, and they ended up making it in the film. It worked. It absolutely worked because you've seen Johnny Carson. He's always like the Johnny Carson show or something. I never watched it, but I've seen stuff on YouTube and I heard people talk about it, like my mom and dad talk about it. Johnny Carson always come on the show and say, here's Johnny. And that's when Jack Nicholson somehow thought it in the top of his head and he just used it in the film and said, here's Johnny. It worked. All that worked. Now as the film goes on, we see Jack Nicholson character get stabbed in the arm as Wendy like used the knife on him and stuff. Then he somehow goes downstairs and stuff, and we see Scatman Crothers looking at the hotel saying hello, hello, and then Jack Nicholson character kills him, and that's when Danny like was just hiding in the kitchen, and he sees that, and then Jack Nicholson character's like chasing after Danny, chasing after him. So, and you kind of terrified because you don't know if he's gonna kill his son or not. So that scene's kept going on and stuff, and we see Wendy trying to find her son and stuff. We see them going through the maze. He's chasing Danny. He said, Danny, with that axe and stuff. And we see Jack Nicholson just chasing him. So it's like a roller coaster ride still going on. And that's when we see Danny and the wife just still going to meet each other. And then they drive on this little truck thing, the snow truck. And they leave and stuff like that. And that's when Jack Nicholson character just like was just walking all slow, like he's having like, because of the cold and all this, like he's about to die. And then we see a scene ending where he's frozen up and all that. And it kind of ends off right there. And then that's when we see a picture coming close. And when in the ending, and this was very debatable. I've heard a lot of people talk about this. What does that, in the ending, when that picture zooms in and we see Jack Torrance's character in that picture, when as it getting close, I'm like, why are they showing this picture? And when you see Jack Torrance's character, you're like, oh, in that ballroom, in that thing, in the July thing, whatever, you're kind of like saying, it leaves me shocked. I was shocked when I first saw that scene. I'm like, and it's still shocking to that, and I'm like, was he this character this whole time? Or like, was he this character? Or it was just like, and from what I read on it, it said it's a reincarnation of Jack Torrance's character and somebody else's name. I forgot the other name. But it left me puzzled. Left me like, was he like this the whole time? Was he this character or something? It just, it's still questions to this day. I don't know. It's always that interesting, like, because after all you've seen that, after when you've seen all this stuff happen, then you see that, you're like, It just, I don't know, it's just really crazy. And that's pretty much it. Overall, this is a well-made horror film. It's still one of my favorite horror films still to this day. I think it still holds up. It still gives you the scares, the jump scares, everything. Well directed, everything about it. I don't know how anybody can hate this film. Wow, this is well made. Stanley Kubrick, which he passed away, rest in peace. Everything about this film is absolutely phenomenal. The acting, the writing, everything. This movie, this is one of the horror films I cannot find like a flaw. This is like the flawless horror film I've ever seen. I recommend you check it out. Like I said, if you haven't seen this film yet and you've heard all the spoilers, sorry, this movie been out for a while. It came out in 1980, so I hate you. I spoiled for you. But if you have seen the film and you came to here, you know how I feel about this film. It's absolutely fantastic, and I really love it, and I can still see myself watch it still to this day. And as of right now, in my book, The Shining absolutely gets an A+. Woo! Wow. Man, this is an incredible film. Let me know in the comment section down below what you feel about The Shining. Did you like it or not? I don't know how can anybody hate this film. Like I said, they'll let me know in the comment section how you feel about The Shining. Do you like it or not? Let me know. Tell me the memorable moments you love about The Shining. Let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know, please. This is an absolutely fantastic film. And I'll put out my Dr. Sleep film, my review about that film very soon. And as always, if you like this video, click thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, click subscribe and the bell button. That's like I see you next time on Sly the Movie Guy. Peace.